Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robert Dickerson, Jr., Chair of NCRC's Board of Directors.
I want to start by just thanking all of you for coming. I want to thank everybody, thank the members, the supporters, all the speakers who did a tremendous job. And we can't leave out our sponsors. Let's give all of them a big round of applause. So we have an interesting program. I know you're going to love it. And right now, I just want to bring up the chairman and CEO of the NCRC, who incidentally, let's make sure we know this, just signed a 5-year contract with the NCRC. He's going to be with us for a long time. John Taylor. Come on up, John.
Yeah, it's going to take more than that to get rid of me. So, well, look, good evening, everybody. As you can see, this is not your father's NCRC. You all know what I mean. One thing I want to say is you actually have a choice when you rent this space, the Ronald Reagan International Trade Center. Because they don't want to be political about things, they give you the option of covering up signs and things. You'll see a bust of Ronald Reagan over there, and you see a quote which I can't read now because of the lights in my eyes, but maybe someone could help me read that. But it's exactly the kind of thing we're talking about. It's a quote about, we all win when everybody has the opportunity and everybody can pursue their dreams. And isn't that really what NCRC is all about? Yeah. So look, I want to thank our board and our sponsors also. Without their support, we couldn't do this. But I also want to recognize the NCRC staff. You can imagine all of you have similar events back home, bigger or smaller. I know Chicanos por la Casa, their events make this look like a small-time event. But for most of you, you all know what it takes to put this kind of thing together. But in particular, the workshops, the training, and all that work that everybody does, so that we're just not feeding you, we're actually feeding the mind, the spirit, and sending you home, hopefully, with inspiration, motivation, and better informed and better capable of making a difference in your community. So I really want to recognize the staff that, you know, the 62 employees of NCRC, not all of them are here, but most are, for the work that they do. And I'm not going to start naming names because, you know, we'll be on to the next speaker before I get a chance to introduce somebody. So let me, if you don't mind, I'd love the NCRC, just the staff, to stand for 1 second. Every one of you, please stand. And if you look at the staff, stay standing. If you look at them, you'll notice we're an extremely diverse organization. African American, Latino, Asian, white. You know, it's what makes us powerful and makes us more influential, is having that kind of multiracial, multicultural contribution on a daily basis for us to be able to do our work. So thank you, staff. Thank you for standing. So look, I have a great honor right now because I get to introduce the next speaker, who's going to make a few words and also give out our first award. So his name is F. Barton Harvey, or as you would say, Harvey the Third. We all knew him as Bart. And Bart, we wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for Bart Harvey. We really wouldn't. Because Bart, when Joe Kennedy came to a bunch of groups in Washington and said, CRA is under attack, not just from conservatives, but also from people who we would have defined as liberals, and that this law was in trouble, we need to get a group together to try to have another voice opine about this to members of Congress. He went to Bart. And Bart understood, because of the work he did at the Enterprise Foundation, and because of his commitment to affordable housing. And there's a litany of awards from the National Housing Conference, Person of the Year. I mean, there's so many awards. I'm not going to read them because you can go online and look up Bart Harvey and you'll see it there. But Bart understood what was at stake here, and that's when we called together a handful of organizations. And if it wasn't for Bart and his guiding spirit and his tenacity and his patience and gentility, we probably wouldn't be standing here today. So please welcome the first chair of NCRC, the founding board member, my friend F. Barton Harvey III.
Well, thank you, John. And boy, this is a great occasion to be with all of you all on St. Paddy's Day. It's a terrific day, and it's so great to see people that were in that original meeting so many years ago and so many friends that are here. It is almost 25 years to the month ago that we had our first board meeting called of what was then newly constituted the National Community Reinvestment Coalition. And we gathered for that under, as John has said, after a conversation with then Congressman Joe Kennedy, who called us in. He called in a number of national leaders who had really worked hard on the Community Reinvestment Act and its effective implementation. And he kind of got after us a little bit. And he said, look, the bankers have their act together. They're dead against the CRA. There's legislation that it would greatly diminish its effective implementation. And you guys attacked Congress and your friends, and then you attack each other. And there's no unified voice. So can't you do something about it? And we did. And what we did, 28 original organizations got together and said, we do need a national organization that has national groups and state groups and local groups and can speak with a unified voice and can fend off the attacks on the Community Reinvestment Act. But it's not attacks on an act, it's attacks on basic fairness and decency in this country and the ability to get credit and to be part of the American culture. And so we did all come together, and I noted, I went back to the minutes. It's been 25 years. I said, send me something. I got to remember this correctly. And in the minutes, the 28 groups said, look, a leader, and there are a bunch of them here at these tables, that the leader of each group's going to be on the board of directors, and the lawyers say, oh no, that's very bad. 28 people on the, that's not very good, and everything else. And we said, to hell with you, we're doing it. So we had 28 people on the initial board of directors, and then they went to the executive committee, and I went back in the notes, and I was legally remonstrated in the notes. It said, and then legally being able to do so, Chairman Harvey again nominated John Taylor for the executive committee of the board. And I've always been out of bounds, evidently, legally. But it was a very good move because, of course, John didn't spend a lot of time on the executive committee as we were saying, well, who's going to run this group? It became evident after a while that John was the person to run it, and he's done it with fierce determination. He takes no prisoners when he thinks somebody is just wrong. He absolutely understands the issues. He understands how to get visibility on these. But his real genius was to say, look, I came from Massachusetts. We need every part of the country represented. We need every group that cares about this issue and who is affected by this issue to be part of this coalition. So you look at today and it goes from 28 original groups, a lot of them were national groups, to 600 plus from all across the country, all of you all that are doing the critical work that's so important on these issues. And let me just say, let me first of all thank John for what he has done and what he has built in this organization over all of that time. Let me just also say that your work is needed now more than ever. I am now a board director of Fannie Mae in conservatorship. And I've looked at the data of the subprime crisis. I've read the books, I've read the articles, I've talked to people about it. And I can't believe the crazy things that are totally wrong that still come out in articles, in op-eds, and in the language of politicians. And you've heard them as well as I have. And they are, it was the CRA that was at fault. It was the housing goals that was at fault. It was Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac that were at fault. It was the low-income people who signed those documents, same documents I sign and don't understand every part of. And I can't tell you, the board had Republicans and Democrats, and when we looked through everything, I think we all agreed on that board that 90% of what was wrong was not any of the above. It was that large financial institutions and mortgage companies and home builders and others found a way to make money off of something without any regard to the fairness of it, the humanity of it, and they invented securitization, private, not Fannie or Freddie, and they sold it around the world. And it's just wrong. And that is where the responsibility lies. And I'm concluding. I get heated on this, and so John doesn't want me to, or I'll go on. But as you look also at the political dialogue that we have now, and I may be partisan, but I won't name the parties whose debates seem like Saturday Night Live. But my wall is higher than your wall. We really need you to speak out on what actually happens in communities and to people and how important that is. It isn't about ideology. It's about really doing what this country says it wants to be, which is to be fair and to treat all people the same way as far as being able to have a home, to have a job, to start a business. So this is what you all, this is your mission. I thank John for bringing it this far. Now, let me end there and ask everybody who served on the board of directors from 25 years ago until today, please stand up and please applaud these workers. And John, if I'm right, we have a video that will be coming from Joe Kennedy.
It's such a great pleasure to be with all of you here this evening. I guess I'm not exactly with you here this evening, but nevertheless to be celebrating with all of you this evening the 25th anniversary of the NCRC. You know, when John Taylor called me up a week or two ago and said that this celebration was going to be taking place and said it was the 25th anniversary, I said, there is no way in Dickens this is the 25th anniversary of the NCRC. And he said that if that was hard for me to believe, then he would remind me that the reason why I can't come and be with you tonight is because I've just had 2 hips replaced. And that now, even though I fought for a lot of the things that all of us believe in Congress, I'm no longer in Congress, but there is another Joe Kennedy in Congress. And he's going to be taking up these fights just like I did. So I just want all of you to know how much I miss you and how much I miss the wonderful fights that you have spent your lives just in the middle of, trying to look out for those that all too often get left behind by our country and by the greatest and most powerful institutions in this country. And even though we see in this campaign for president, for the first time, the issues that we care about are being talked about and felt by millions and millions of Americans. It has gone mainstream. They get it. They understand what these banks do and financial institutions do when even inadvertently they go out and they take money from communities, they bundle it together, they go and put it and bet it on Black 22. The thing goes south, they lose money, we have to bail them out, but then they don't even put money back into the very communities that lent them the first dollar that allowed all of this to occur. If that money were just put back into the local community, we've all seen what can happen. I drive through my community, the district that I represented, and I see the Black community in Boston and Roxbury, Massachusetts. You see huge new developments of housing, huge developments of food, of new food, tropical food outlets and the like. The place is changing before my eyes, and it's so wonderful to know that the reason for that change is because of the work that you do. You don't see more money coming from the federal government going into these cities. What you see is by what NCRC did, by getting lots of members that knew how to take these financial institutions on, we could take that money and use it to build good housing, to build proper health care, to get the kind of infrastructure in the poor neighborhoods that we always came to take for granted in the middle class and upper income neighborhoods of our country. You are doing the Lord's work. John Taylor, I love you. I love the work you do, and I love the work that you, Bart Harvey, and so many people who are so dedicated to helping others with their life's work. And you may not get the biggest paycheck now, but when it comes to the biggest paycheck of your life, I think you'll be able to cash that one in. You take good care. I wish I was with you. Thank you.
It is now my distinct honor to present the first award, and that is in the name of my mentor, somebody I loved dearly and worked for 26 years at Enterprise, Jim Rouse. And this is the James Rouse Award. And the award goes to that nonprofit which best promotes fair and equal access to credit and capital, and contributes the most in its community toward promoting wealth building in traditionally underserved populations. And this year, the award goes to Central Baptist CDC of Wilmington, Delaware. Please.
Earlier this year, Delaware celebrated the 375th anniversary of the new Sweden colony, which eventually became the city of Wilmington. The Swedes arrived on the Kalmar Nickel and eventually, in 1698, built what is the oldest still-in-use church in America, Old Swedes Church. Adjacent to that rich history sits Wilmington's East Side section. In the shadows of the corporate towers of downtown Wilmington sits what could be described as a rougher part of town, a high-crime area with nearly half the population living below the poverty level. But there's a major effort underway to transform East Side into a better place.
We said we wanted to make a major impact, so we identified an area, and we said what we would do is where there are vacant lots, we would put new construction. Where there were homes that were abandoned, we would remodel or refurbish.
Reverend Terrence Keeling leads Central Baptist Church, which sits in the heart of East Side. He's on a mission to transform not just the souls of his neighbors, but their physical surroundings as well.
This is salvation, it's whole salvation. I don't believe that the gospel is just about saving souls so that when you die you don't go to hell. I believe that it's about empowering people so that they can get out of the hell they're living in.
And he's got a big team to help accomplish that goal. This month, 10 organizations of the East Side Blueprint signed on to a memorandum of understanding, pledging to work together to improve East Side.
We understand that the importance of building a community is that it's not just building brick and mortar, but it's building the people, the human spirit that live here as well. So not only we will revitalize the building, but we're revitalizing the spirits of the individuals that work here.
City Councilwoman Hanifa Shabazz grew up in East Side.
I went to summer camp here at Central Baptist Church, and so I know what coming here and what it did for my spirit and to get me where I am as an adult today.
The first order of business is to get more homeowners and fewer renters. According to the city, out of nearly 2,300 housing units in East Side, just 556 are occupied by owners. The rest are renters.
There's a lot of rental over here, and people love the neighborhood because we even all this that we go through, we still do love each other. And so to know that I own this, and this East Side is mine because I own that property, not just a renter.
The first area to get a new look will be 125 homes between 7th and 10th Streets and Church and Pine Streets.
The goal is so that when we finish this project, it will be a nice corridor that starts to set a different image of the East Side. The homes that are there will be brought up to the value of the new homes, rather than having a new home and an old home sitting by its side, which brings down the value of the new home.
It's hoped that the physical improvements will improve morale in the East Side community.
This community has been abused, it's been promised, it's been poked, it's been prodded, it's been studied, it's been taken advantage of, and people have seen it all and heard it all before.
It will be the beginning of a new, yes. And not just, like I said, for the view, for the people coming through, from the visual point of it, but just for the spirit of the people. We know by next summer, there's going to be a whole different vibe in the neighborhood.
So Reverend Terrence Keeling, what you see is a small part of what this gentleman has done and spent his life doing, and there couldn't be a more deserving person and organization for the James Rouse Award. Thank you very much. Thank you. We got to come over here, I guess. They want us away from it. Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
This is such an honor. In 2010, the Central Baptist Community Development Corporation was founded, and it was founded with a belief, a Christian belief, that through Jesus Christ, the power of God had been made available, not just to bring about a change in our lives, but in the community we are called to serve. We did not believe it was God's will that this community should have been relegated to an area where it was such a high degree of a concentration of poverty, where buildings were neglected, where unemployment was way above average, where the mortality rate among infants was as high as it was. And so we started out this mission with what we believed was a God-ordained vision in our faith. We had nothing other than that. And this award is a testimony not only to the power of God, but to all the people who are working with us, not just Christians, Muslims, Jews, community people who have dedicated their life and who are working hard to bring about this change that we talked about. This is a testimony that what we are doing is making a difference in people's lives and that people are starting to notice. And so I accept this award on behalf of all those people who saw the vision. I thank God for every one of them, for calling them, and I thank God and them for answering that call. I thank you very much to NCRC. This is such a great honor. Our work is not done, but this certainly gives us some steam and some wind in our sails to continue to battle. Thank you so much.